Hello, brothers and sisters. Oh, it is so good to see you guys today. Thank you for joining with me. If you're new to my channel, my name is Melissa, and I talk about grief and God and my relationship with grief and God. So, once again, hello, my name is Melissa, and I am a mother of 5. For anyone who's new with me today, and our 2 youngest children, Noah and Sophia. Noah was age 7, Sophia age 5. They are in heaven now, 4 years ago. And 11 months ago, I lost my mother, and 3 months after that, my father. Sometimes I have to just say it really fast like that, just to even be able to get through that sentence, because it sounds so unreal to me. It really does. It just sounds very unreal to me. Which takes me into the point of my video today. I wanted to talk about how grief, 2 things that grief is like that I've been thinking about the last 2 days as I've been working. Grief is very confusing, and grief is like music. You know, nobody has to teach us to grieve. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to be, have you noticed that grief is pretty, it's instinct. Like, we just have an instinct to grieve when we lose somebody very significant to us, very precious to us, a part of us. Even when we lose a very important job, or we lose our home, or we lose a relationship, divorce, estrangement, the loss of our health, you know, when our worlds are just flipped upside down in many different ways, we don't need to be taught to grieve. We just instinctively do it. I think that's how you say it, right? Oh my. And no one has to tell us to ponder and think about the whys of life and death. You know, we start doing that in grief, you know. So if you're new in grief, you're just experiencing that, you're normal to be thinking constantly about life and death, you know, pondering them, the whys to them, you know. Those feelings, they just come very naturally to us. You know, mourning, on the other hand, does not. Our society's rules on mourning are ridiculous. And so therefore that takes me to my point. Like, my grief is like music. Like, music's composed of ear, feeling, and instinct. You know, I used to play the piano for about 4.5, 5 years. Sometimes I wish I still played that thing again. I miss the piano. Played the clarinet too for a little bit. And you know, we love music in our family. You know, my husband plays the drums. He's a great drummer. You know, he's a good example for this, actually, because he plays the drums by instinct. My husband doesn't read music at all, and was never taught to read music. Yet he played in a band in high school, was good, and is good. And actually, all of our sons inherited, all 3 of our sons inherited that same type of ear, that talent, you know, could just get on the set of drums and just play a beat. You know, my husband, you can play him a beat, he can hear it for the first time and then copy it right back on the drums, you know. And in church, especially after church, you know, my husband played the drums for our church when we lived in Nebraska for a long time, on the worship team. And after church, our sons would come up on the stage, and they'd be little, and you know, and they'd tap away on those drums and get their turn at it, you know. So those are good memories, you know. And they come up, you know, that's grief too, you know, just in the middle of wanting to talk to you and share this with you, you know, that memory comes to my mind, and then now I'm remembering, you know, those Sundays at church and the little ones getting up on the stage and playing those drums by instinctively wanting to get up there, you know. And so grief is like that too, you guys. But our society, it restricts our mourning. Mourning is expressing our grief outside of ourselves, which we must do, brothers and sisters. We must do. We must have a safe place for that, you know. And I think us grievers, we're not only grieving, but we are fighting for that place. We're striving and looking for that safe place to mourn, express our grief outside of ourselves. But our society, especially in American culture, stuff it back in, let's move on, the job needs to get done, kind of a thing, which is very difficult to do, very, very difficult to do, you know, especially when you've lost your children, it's very unnatural to bury your children. Maybe some of you are watching this and maybe you haven't experienced grief yourself. You just kind of happen to come across this video and you're thinking to yourself, wow, I haven't done that yet. Count yourself blessed right now. Just be thankful for that. Be thankful that you don't have to sit in my shoes or somebody else's shoes, but you can still have compassion for them. You can still have great sympathy for them and still be very thankful that you have your children, your mother, your father, your sibling, your spouse. There's nothing wrong with that. No, there's nothing wrong with being thankful for what you have and yet still having great compassion for others who have had to bury their children and spouses and parents. Oh, that takes me also to my point about how confusing grief is, very, very, very confusing. I tend to have the kind of a personality, whether I like to admit it very much or not. I do kind of like to know what's up ahead a little bit on the road. I do have some security and knowing that this job or this task or whatever is set in front of me, I will accomplish it, or I'll have success with it. And a lot of times I don't, and that keeps me humble, and that keeps me learning, and it keeps me, hungry for God. Grief reminds me so much of my relationship with the Lord, God's ways. We hear it all the time in the Bible, his paths are beyond tracing out. His ways, they're just not always known to us, and so in my confusing grief that plays like music in my ear, I just naturally go to the Lord, and I tell the Lord, your ways of working with me, I don't understand this at all. I cannot explain to other people why our oldest son murdered our two youngest children, why he stabbed his own dad in his neck, why he had plans to kill all of us and bury us in our backyard. I can't explain that. Oh, how much, brothers and sisters, I wish I could. How much I wish I could sit here as I don't even know what, but be able to say to you, A through D will help you with your teenager's mental illness or someone you know's mental health illness. It's just not there, friends. And, the word tells us we have to be willing to live with mystery. We just have to. The Lord has revealed a lot of things to us just in the New Testament, through the incarnation, the life, the death, and the resurrection of Jesus, and our salvation and eternity in heaven and life everlasting. This isn't it, friends and brothers and sisters. There really is another life after this that is everlasting, and God's love, his love, that's my foundation. The love of God in Jesus and his son, that's the only thing I have to stand on. That's the only sure thing, God's love, it reminds me of the ocean. It's there. You can see it, but you can never see the end of it. It's beyond our power Yeah. It's beyond our power to see the whole ocean, you know. We can only see a little of it, and God's measureless love is like the ocean. We catch glimpses of it in our earthly life. We stand at the shore. Sometimes we're right in the waves and right in that ocean of it. And other times we're standing very far back. And sometimes grief, and in our grief, we can feel like we're standing way far back, way up on the shore, you know. But God's love is measureless. Friends, brothers, sisters, it is. In His love, we can count on His love in our grief. We can count on His love to make the music of our grief beautiful, without shame. You know, it's taken me 4 years to get to this point. The Lord has been holding me and comforting me and training me and disciplining me and for these last 4 years, and the rest of my life to go. But just to even be at this point where I can even speak about what Malik did, that I can even open up my mouth to tell the world, what Malik has done to our family and what our family is experiencing, and navigating the daily life of grief, and we still have two teenagers at home, one that just graduated high school and a daughter who is a junior in high school, so we're still parents, and we'll always still be parents, and so yeah, and in my confusingness, that's not even a word. But I'm confused so much of the time. Oh, man. Oh, brothers, sisters, I have a craving to comprehend. I do. I have a craving to comprehend. And I've definitely noticed in my life, God's ways with me can frustrate my craving to understand. And grief, put that right up to the top. Put it right up to the top, Um, but the Lord is so beautifully showing me I am privileged to know the many things that He is showing me. And so I pray that for you as well, friends. And we find God in His Word. We really do. He's there. He's so there in His Word, in the Bible, and He's so there in your heart, your prayer life, right there. I mean, the Lord is so close. All we have to do is whisper His name. Whenever we whisper, other people are like, what? But the Lord does, and He's right there. He's there with us in our grief, friends. He really is. He's there with us, and He knows this is confusing for us. He knows that we don't know the answer to this, that we can't explain our grief or the situation in which our loved one died in. And we also can't really even explain His love. Not fully, but we can experience it. And so that's what I've been doing, is experiencing the measureless love of God in my grief. And grief is like music, it is. It's composed by ear, feeling, and instinct. I want to leave you with this poem that I found in one of my devotional books that I read. And this one's called Springs in the Valley. I really love this devotional book. And there's a poem in here that I want to leave you with. We can only see a little of the ocean, just a few miles distance from the rocky shore. But out there, far beyond our eyes' horizon, there's more, immeasurably more. We can only see a little of God's loving, a few rich treasures from His mighty store. But out there, far beyond our eyes' horizon, there's more, immeasurably more. So I just wanted to leave you with that. I did. And just remember, guys, that it's okay. Our society rules are ridiculous about mourning and grief. But the Lord is here with us in our confusing times. And to be confused in grief is very normal. 4 years later, and I'm still confused. 4 years later, I am still unable to answer that question for you outside of mental illness that my son is plagued with, that battling and struggling with. So, well, God bless you, brothers and sisters. Thank you for joining my channel with me, and I will see you next time. I do work tomorrow, so hopefully I'll get a video out this weekend. But my goal, friends, brothers, sisters, is to do 3 videos a week. So we'll see you next time. Be well, and God bless you. Take care. Bye-bye.